Welcome to this podcast on my Scottish Parliament website. One of the most frequent questions that I'm asked when I visit primary schools, or if schools come up and visit me here in the Parliament, is how varied my job is and the kind of issues that I take up on behalf of constituents in Tweeddale, Ettrick and Lauderdale. I explained to them that the job is very varied, and over the last few days since my last broadcast, then that has proved positive that it's a very varied job. Last week and this week I've spoken in a number of debates in the Parliament. Last week I spoke in a debate about equal pay for women, which after 10 years has still not been resolved fully. And that is a real challenge that we have to get right, because it is absolutely unfair that there are women who are still doing the same jobs but for less pay. And last Thursday I also spoke in a debate about Scotland's colleges and the contribution they can make to support the economy. I've been a very strong supporter of Borders College and the work that they do, and of course the new campus in Galashiels is an absolutely fantastic leading resource for the Borders. And in the debate I stressed the need for continuing support for rural colleges and to make sure that the cities and the urban colleges don't crowd out the provision that we need in our rural areas, because the work that Borders College does is fundamental to our future economic success. And that was on the agenda when I met the principal of Borders College as well on Monday this week for a follow-up meeting to discuss the priorities for the college, as well as the relationship with the university students at the College of Textiles in Heriot-Watt in the Borders campus as well. I've also visited a number of schools and had 2 school visits to the Parliament, from West Linton Primary School and from Morriswood Primary School in Pennycook today. And I've made a visit to Now Park in Selkirk and also to Broughton School, and the questions that are put to me when I visit the schools are often more challenging from other MSPs or journalists. But it's a fundamental part of my work to encourage schools to be involved in the political process, and the work that they do in citizenship has been fantastic. So both them visiting the Parliament and seeing where I take part in debates, to come and visit my office, have a sit in the ThinkPods that MSPs have, is a really important part of the job, and I hope that they enjoy it. I've also met this week to support local businesses, visiting a textile business, as well as at the end of last week discussing with the Scottish Enterprise the need for the textile sector to gain the kind of level of support from government that's needed. Recent figures just published this morning shows that there's been a 7% fall in the last 2 months for exports from the textile sector in Scotland, and it is a real priority for me that the government provides it the kind of focus and support that it needs. So far we've not been successful to persuade the government that the textile sector should be a priority, but we're still working on that, and I'm offering as much support as I can to the textile sector as possible. Last week I also visited the Criminal Justice Centre in Selkirk to see the work for those that are carrying out community services, because there's legislation that's currently going through the Parliament to look at short-term sentences and also more community sentences. So I wanted to know firsthand what the consequences of the legislation would be. So I had a follow-up visit to the centre which I'd visited a number of years ago. And I also have taken up a number of health issues. I've met with the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Network in the Borders in the last few days, and I'm pressing for better support for them. It was delightful to hear of a success, because last year we'd worked together to try and persuade the police and the emergency services to allow people to text message 999 services for the emergency services. And in the last few weeks we've heard that campaign has been successful, and people who have registered, who are deaf or hard of hearing, can SMS the emergency services, and they can also register a non-emergency line with the police as well. So from education, skills, supporting the local economy, citizenship, to disability awareness and support for health issues, that is just one indication since last week of the activity that I carry out on behalf of people in my constituency. Yesterday morning was delightful also to visit Mungo Park in Selkirk for the shelters accommodation there, to share a cup of coffee with some of the residents as they celebrate 25 years of Mungo Park, opened by one of my predecessors, David Steele, and it is a real proud moment for all of the staff and the residents to be able to celebrate 25 years of excellent support and pay tribute to all of the volunteers as well, who help make their life valuable and also make sure that the facilities there are the best that we could get. So right from education and skills to health and supporting sheltered accommodation, that is just one taste of the work that I do on your behalf.